Good evening, everyone. We're live. Thank you. Once again, good evening and welcome to the Township of East Brunswick Council meeting for May 30th, 2024. Will everyone please rise if you can and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of personal reflection. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sit down. Personal reflection. Thank you. Township Clerk, please call a roll and read our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilman Wendell.
Here.
Councilwoman Winston.
Here.
Councilwoman Zimbicki.
Here.
Council President McAvoy.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen.
Here.
Administrator Joseph Squisculo.
Here.
And Township Attorney Anthony Iacoca.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and the Asbury Park Press newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. I do not mind the signs that I can see from the dais, but the spear in the front row here, that spear has to go. One of the police officers, please. Right here, front row, seat 2. There's no sticks. Right, the flag is allowed. There are no sticks, bars, etc. allowed in this sacred hall. Thank you. Council, you have before you Resolution 24-161, adopting the meeting minutes from our May 13th, 2024 meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Is there a need for correction or clarification from council? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Councilman Wendell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicki. And
Yes.
Council President McAvoy.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will recognize a mayoral proclamation from this dais recognizing the month of May as Jewish Heritage Month. Mayor Cohen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. So this is a proclamation for Jewish Heritage Month. Whereas the month of May is nationally recognized as Jewish American Heritage Month since 2006, when former President George W. Bush proclaimed it to recognize Jewish contributions to American culture in many aspects, including diversity, education, health, culinary arts, science and technology, social services, the arts and entertainment, business, government, and the service to the United States Armed Services and National Guard. And as many of you know, the Jewish War Veterans Association is the oldest veteran association in the United States, founded in 1896. Whereas East Brunswick proudly embraces our residents who make up our town and bring their own religious and cultural traditions that enrich our community, New Jersey is home to one of the largest Jewish populations in the nation. And whereas the Township of East Brunswick strives to be a place where people of Jewish descent can feel safe and celebrated, Jewish Americans are part of the success story of our nation and our township, and they are an established and vital component of the neighborhoods in which they live, play, and work. Whereas this month serves as an opportunity to better understand the Jewish American experience and celebrate the achievements and contributions of Jewish Americans in our town, our state, and our country. Now be it proclaimed that I, Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, along with our Township Council, do hereby proclaim that May 2024 and every May going forward as Jewish American Heritage Month, and urge all citizens to join me in creating a welcoming environment and recognizing the Jewish American community for the many contributions they have made and continue to make to this great community. Given under my hand and under the great seal of the Township of East Brunswick this 30th day of March in the year 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
No.
Thank you.
Get back.
Unamas.
Yeah. Don't mess with me.
That's all yours. Yes.
Thank you. Rabbi Eric Eisenkramer of Temple B'nai Shalom here in East Brunswick, and I want to thank our mayor and township council for this great honor of the recognition of Jewish American Heritage Month and the proclamation that was just read. I am proud to live in East Brunswick, and we are all proud to live in East Brunswick, a diverse town where all religions, ethnic groups, and cultures are recognized and appreciated, and which many proclamations for other groups have been shared at this council. Thank you again for this great honor for the Jewish community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'll stand in recess for a couple of minutes in case there is anyone who wants to exit from the courtroom. Council Ordinance 24-09. Township Clerk, please read.
An ordinance adopting regulations for privately owned salt storage and supplementing and amending the Township Code to amend Chapter 166 entitled Property Maintenance Code.
May I have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Second.
I'm going to open this up to the public, on this particular issue alone. Ordinance 2409. Close the public portion. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zibicki?
Yes.
Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Council people, you have before you again ordinance 24-10. Township Clerk, please read.
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 158, Parks and Public Lands of the Township Code to make public urination and defecation unlawful.
May I have a motion for this?
Motion to adopt.
And a second.
Second.
We're going to open this up to the public. Does anyone wish to address this particular issue? Issue ordinance 24-10. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zibicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Let's move on to our reports. Mayor Cohen?
Thank you, Council President. A couple of things. One, I normally do not like to comment on things that I read on social media, although I do read it. Because every once in a while, there's something that really is important that's brought up in those messages, and we act on them. But listening to what's going on in the public and reading what's on social media, it's not going unnoticed that there's been questions and concerns from many people living in town regarding things that have been going on in terms of the budget for the Board of Education this year, questions about Board of Education members and administration, and I think that dialogue is something that we encourage people to have, because as voters, as people who live here, who value the school system that still remains the number one reason that people move here, that dialogue's important. And transparency between the Board of Education and the administration is something that should always be encouraged. I think we sometimes lose sight of that. In 2010, when the governor changed the elections from school board elections that were in April, when we voted on budgets and we voted on board members, to being moved to the November election, part of that deal was to allow Board of Educations to not go out to a public vote for their budgets as long as they stayed within a 2% property tax cap. And so we haven't had that dialogue in a very long time. And I think because of that, there is when something bad happens or when there's an issue on the table, it causes an innate response to not trust the answers you get because we don't have that dialogue that's going on regularly. And I get that. And I think that we need to work hard and encourage people to speak up. And you act through how you vote for your Board of Education members who represent you. The only reason I'm saying anything tonight is because in reading some of those posts, I started to see people commenting on thinking of putting their kids in private schools or sending their kids to religious schools because they were fearful that the school system wasn't at the same level that it was years ago. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's a bridge too far. I just last week, Dana and who was at the awards last week for the Board of Education recognizing some phenomenal teachers and support staff that work here in this town tirelessly. They do not do anything but work to their hardest degree to make sure that our kids get top-notch educations. And while you may look at some surveys that say that we might have dropped a rank or two in the last couple of years, please don't let that ever take away from the fact that we have some phenomenal programs, some phenomenal teachers and support staff, many of whom live in this town and have kids that go to this school district. So I don't think there's any problem with questioning decisions, questioning budgets. We always did that. Let's just not go and throw out the baby, like I said, with the bathwater, because we're looking for more transparency, which you deserve. So I'm not endorsing or supporting any one candidate for office. I'm not part of any group that wants to support any group of candidates to run. That decision on who sits in those seats is made by the people that live in this township and vote. Let's leave it at that. So that's my first comment I wanted to bring up. The second comment I wanted to bring up tonight, I know there are many people in this room tonight that responded to an ad and posts that went out calling for a group of people to be here. This was the ad that went out to everybody. And at the bottom of the ad, or the post, it says, East Brunswick funds the State of Israel to the tune of $614,065 annually. Now, I don't know if that was done unintentionally, deceptively, but it's just not true. I have in front of you the budget for the Township of East Brunswick, which we will vote in its final form tonight. I dare anybody to find a line item that says that $614,065 of East Brunswick taxpayer funds goes to the State of Israel. It's not in there. So don't say that. It's just a lie. And I think that if we want to be, I've been very, very good this entire time trying not to make any comment as mayor about a conflict that does not involve, nor should involve, the Township of East Brunswick. You won't see posts from me. You won't see public comments from me. But when you say something about the Township of East Brunswick, which I'm responsible for, as is this council, then I will.
You're out of order. You'll wait till the public portion.
And then the final thing that I'd like
to
to...
respond. Excuse me, Mayor.
Thank you. And the final thing that I'd like to say is that we just really want to thank our VFW, our Township, along with all of our first responders, for what was, I think, an incredible week where we had the replica of the Vietnam Wall that was here at the Community Arts Center for everybody to see, and that we were able to get that and then get that during Memorial Day weekend was, I think, the highest honor that you can get as a township. I hope that people had an opportunity to go out there and pay their respects to the 58,000 names that are on that wall, people who have given their lives for this country in what was an incredibly unpopular war, and all those that serve this country and gave their ultimate level of sacrifice to protect the freedoms that we all have here today on display. That people die for us to have these rights. Let's respect them and be thankful for them. So that's my comments this evening. Council President, thank you.
Mr. Chris Kulo, our business administrator.
Thank you, Council President. I will want to announce to the public we will be honoring the VFW at the next council meeting on June 10th. We were going to do it this evening, but they were very tired on Tuesday morning after being there for 5 days. Most of the people are in their late 60s and 70s. They were there for 7 days straight, and we've been working on this with them for months. So I'm hoping that the residents of the township will come out to that meeting on June 10th and honor them for the work that they do tirelessly for our veterans. And when you get the opportunity to talk to somebody with some of the fallout that they have from that war, it really is emotional. I know when I was younger, I had to register for selective services. I got my driver's permit and my selected services card. So it is real. So I'd like to thank the council for their support and our staff for doing an outstanding job, and we will be honoring them at the next council meeting. Our paving program has begun. We've done several roads already. This past week alone, we paved Allison over near Sunburst, and yesterday, Sunburst itself was paved. We also installed some drainage over that area because there was drainage issues. I would like to report to this council, we will be in full swing with our pavement program. We're getting roadways done that don't affect bus transportation for our students, and then we'll kick it into high gear and get those roads, as we promised to our residents, completed hopefully before school year started. That's all I have tonight, Mr. President.
Our Township Attorney, Mr. Iacocca.
I just have one item for closed session, contract negotiations. Other than that, I have nothing new to report, Council President.
Our counsel for board reports or committee reports. Councilwoman Zambicki.
Thank you. Rec and Parks Advisory Board report. Just want to thank Cheryl Brass for organizing our very first music class for East Brunswick residents. It started off on the first day with 15 participants, and it's growing. And thank you to Dr. Braun for leading this. On 4th of July will be the big East Brunswick celebration for July 4th, and the East Brunswick Symphony Orchestra will be doing their presentation of many, many songs before and after the celebration. And I also want to say Marisol's Kitchen will be graciously feeding our performers, which is a very nice thing. Crystal Springs opened this weekend, a banner opening. The weather wasn't necessarily supposed to be great, but turned out to be pretty awesome. So they had a great opening to their season. The cricket fields, the construction is ongoing. If you drive by, you can see that. They're slightly behind their projected date due to the weather, but right now looking for a June opening. And also our Department of Aging is absolutely thriving. This month is Older Americans Month, and the theme is Powered by Connection. And how cool they did a speed friending event to help solidify that Power by Connection. So awesome things are happening in East Brunswick. And also on June 9th from 12 to 3 at Bicentennial Park, there's youth EB Youth Sports Day, so your children can come out and try a bunch of the different sports that are offered to see if it's something that might interest them. This is a great way to test out new sports in the community. Thank you, Council President.
I was drawn into the Vietnam traveling wall approximately 2.5 months ago. And for those 8, 10 weeks, we were meeting twice a week, once here in the municipal complex and once over at the VFW. And those meetings lasted for a solid 2 hours, in which they were extremely productive. And then the end result was what you witnessed when you made your way there. I have a list of names I want to read to you with regard to those people who started the Vietnam traveling wall to get here, and then have the driver of the rig that took the wall from location A to location B to location C to location D, to have him say, and he's been on the job for 2.5 years, that the East Brunswick display was in the top 5 of all the shows that he has done. Therefore, my hat goes off to Tommy Coolhill, Tony Finello, Bob Anderson, Ursi Riordan, Nick Cabrera, Robin Gerhardt, Larry Gerhardt, Rocco Gagno, Tom Fasevec, Wayne Lyons, George Nonstedt, Tanya Kiro, Randy Gagnon, Lieutenant Jason Fama, Chief of Police, who's standing in the back with us, Chief and your entire staff that came over and helped, John Cossack, Robert Zuckerman, Mike Reisner, Mayor Cohn. Once Mayor Cohn stepped in, it just took off. It was a ball of fire under the table, and what a credit Mayor Cohn played in the success of this. Ryan Ranahan and Maureen Burzak. Anyone else? Township Clerk, please read our public comment statement.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond or not respond.
Thank you. And when I beckon you up to the podium, please give us your name and your address. And don't be surprised if I ask you to clarify the address, because what we use with the address is that's how we get back to you. Anyone like to address the council president?
Athika Gunja, East 68 Berkshire Way, East Brunswick. First, I just want to
What's
address,
the address again?
68 Berkshire Way.
Okay, here in town.
Yeah, East Brunswick. I just want to address Mayor Cohen's first issue with the flyer that was posted for this event. The event was mostly for the rally outside so we could gather. The $614,000 annually is federal taxpayer dollars, so it's not East Brunswick Township funds. As we know that we spend $3.8 billion a year to funding the state of Israel. So that's part of how they allocate that amount of money for East Brunswick Township. He also mentioned an incredibly unpopular war in regards to the Vietnam War. Well, I would say the same thing about the current war that we want to discuss here with you today. It's been almost 4 months since I've addressed this council. In that time, the genocide has marched along and the number of martyrs and injured has doubled, including 17,000 children killed. In just the past week, Israel rejected a ceasefire agreed upon by Hamas and all negotiating parties, thereby preventing the release of all the remaining hostages. On May 24th, the ICJ ruled that Israel must halt the invasion of Rafah. 2 days after that, Israel attacked Rafah in the middle of the night while children and babies slept, dropping 2,000-pound dumb bombs on refugee tents, burning people alive, and actually beheading babies. These war crimes are happening to Palestinians, and they are happening now. They need to stop. So we return to this council once again and call on you to consider a ceasefire resolution to indicate your desire that this genocide comes to an immediate halt. We call on Mayor Cohen and all elected officials to heed our call for ceasefire and to stop the slaughter in Gaza. It is incumbent on us as citizens of this township to hold our public servants accountable for their decisions. We will hold every one of you accountable at the ballot. Your silence and inaction are complicity. Residents of East Brunswick cannot in good faith support the continued slaughter and starvation of children. There is no justification for genocide. As a doctor, we are bound by oath to treat every human life equally, no matter their race, gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic class, or sexual orientation. Concepts like apartheid, war, or even genocide are incompatible with the practice of medicine, which is based on the concepts of equality, freedom, and justice for all. If the mayor wants to act like he has no power in this or that East Brunswick has no role to play in the genocide, then that's fine. Let us divest completely from the state of Israel, relinquish our sisterhood with Yavne, and divest from all complicit entities. From the weapons manufacturers to the tech industry to Israeli universities like Tel Aviv University, New Jersey taxpayers remain complicit with the genocide, and the only ones benefiting are the war profiteers of the elite class. I would like to take a minute to point out just a few of the racially charged remarks made to us at prior meetings. I, for one, will not stand for dehumanizing language being used in our meetings or in our township. One community member stated, from 1990 to 2022, the Palestinian population increased from 1.98 million to 5.4 million. Genocide is literally the opposite of population growth. This type of eugenics argument about reproduction rates was used by Nazi Germany about the Jews in concentration camps and has also been used to attack Black people and Native people to insinuate a need to curtail their reproduction. Another resident quoted Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir's racist lines, "If Palestinians lay down their weapons, there will be peace. If the Israelis lay down their weapons, there will be a massacre." The dehumanization of Palestinians or any group of people undergoing a genocide, be it in Congo or Sudan, is really what's at question here. Do Palestinian lives have unconditional value and worth? Another resident who likened myself and those of us here today in support of Palestine to actual terrorists said there is no difference between the supporters of a ceasefire in Gaza and those who supported the 9/11 attacks. All of these comments were allowed to pass unhindered by this council. Shame on the council for not recognizing these comments as hate speech and for addressing it in real time. We reject the IRA definition of anti-Semitism that equates criticism of the state of Israel with anti-Semitism. We reject anti-BDS laws. The right to protest and boycott are inherent First Amendment freedoms afforded by the U.S. Constitution. We want divestment from the state of Israel while it is in violation of international humanitarian law and U.S. domestic laws. What this means for this town council is breaking our economic and political ties to the state of Israel by divesting from the New Jersey Israel Commission and our sisterhood with the state of Israel until it complies with the law. New Jersey invests billions of dollars in war, weapons of mass destruction, and the state of Israel that go directly into the bombs we are seeing blowing up children and refugees right now. We need to stop all aid to Israel and war companies and reinvest in entities that will help promote the peace and health of our planet. We need an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. We need divestment from the state of Israel and sanctions and embargoes. We need all eyes on Rafah. We, the people of the world, are not going to stop until Palestine gets a ceasefire and full liberation. Thank you.
Mayor Cohen, do you need the floor? Gentleman with the black shirt on?
My name is Ben Feigenbaum. I live at 2 Schindler Court, East Brunswick.
2 Schindler Court. Thank you, sir.
I would like to start by thanking this council for recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month. For too long, the contributions of Jewish Americans in all aspects of life has been ignored. For example, Chaim Solomon was one of the founders of this country. He was a financier of the American Revolution. He died at age 45 penniless because he gave his entire fortune to support the revolution. For far too long, the contributions of Jewish Americans have been ignored. Hopefully that will change. But I would like to thank this council for recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month. I would like to say that despite the long history of Jewish persecution and murder, we still thank God for all the blessings that he has shown upon us. And we thank this country for all it has done for the Jewish Americans. In conclusion, I would like to say, Ani Ma'amin, I believe with perfect faith in the coming of the Messiah, and Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live.
Please.
Hello, my name is Gomo. I live at 217 South Felton Street.
Where do you live?
South Amboy.
In South Amboy. And what's the name of the street?
South Feltus.
Okay, proceed,
Good
please.
evening, esteemed members of the council. We condemn the IOF and the Israel government for killing 40,000 plus people. My conscience and faith will not allow me to just stay put and remain silent on what's happening in Gaza. For me, it's not a Muslim issue, it's a human rights issue. I'm requesting the council to approve the humanitarian ceasefire resolution at the township level. The atrocities in Palestine have gone on too long. The numbers of death has surpassed 30,000 human lives, and there are still people trapped under the rubble of buildings that were bombed by the IOF and are heartbreaking and astronomical. 25,000 people plus killed, 8,600 children murdered, 53,000 plus wounded, 1.9 million human people displaced, 2.3 million people starving, 100 plus journalists killed, no functioning hospitals, hundreds of mosques, churches, and historical sites destroyed. Entire neighborhoods where children used to play and go to school have been turned into stacks of rubble with no life in them, said Adil Khadir, UNICEF's regional director for the Middle East and North Africa. What we're seeing in terms of human deaths has already outpaced rates of harm from any given conflict we have documented, said Emily Tripp, the director of Air Wars, an organization which has monitored civilian deaths in wars and conflicts since 2014. What's happening in Gaza is no less than a textbook case of genocide per experts and multiply credibly human rights organizations from Human Rights Watch to Amnesty International. Not only is it a genocide, they all agreed that it's modern-day apartheid. The ceasefire at minimum would be to address immediate needs and reduce the suffering of civilians and protect their human right to food, water, and shelter. Basic human rights in accord with the rights in international humanitarian law. But today, this minimum is not being met, and it is vital that it's established as soon as possible. This has been by far the most documented modern-day genocide. How high does a pile of murdered bodies have to get? How many more gruesome images of beheaded children, pregnant women without hospitals to deliver it in, disabled people without any accessibility? Every single innocent person killed in Gaza today would be alive if we had a ceasefire today, now. What does the ceasefire entail? The free movement of humanitarian supplies into Gaza to be delivered impartially by humanitarian agencies. This should include water, medical supplies, food, non-food items, such as shelter and dignity kits for women, and space to provide vital protection services. The free and safe movement of humanitarian personnel to deliver and monitor of aid flows. The free and safe movement of gathering of civilians to access humanitarian aid and services to include child-safe spaces, educational activities, emergency health, including mental health, and other specialized services for women and children. The evacuation of the sick and wounded within or out of the territory alongside additional measures for the protection of civilians in accordance with international humanitarian law routes of movement should be identified, communicated, and be safe from attack. In all cases, the right to return must be...
5 minutes has been exhausted. Thank you very much.
That was 3.5 minutes.
My name is Judy Goldrich, and
Excuse me.
Excuse you.
You put pushing the envelope. Outbursts will not be tolerated. We respect one another in this sacred room. Don't push it. I beg your pardon. Repeat it again.
My name is Judy Goldrich. My address is 15 New Dover Road in East
15
Brunswick. New Dover
In Over in Edison?
in East Brunswick.
Okay. Got it.
I would like to address very briefly two particular statements that have been made. There is no genocide being committed or ever having been committed by Israel in Gaza. And I really do wish to thank the East Brunswick Council for allowing me to speak and to point out the truth and the facts, because in essence, what we are hearing tonight in some of the comments are the use of the term genocide to sensationalize something that is not real and not happening. Genocide is defined by the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide as, quote, a crime committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group in whole or in part. Israel has never planned or stated that it will or has committed genocide. The truth, however, and the irony here, is that it is Hamas that calls for genocide. In the Hamas covenant, it states, the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight Jews and kill them. Then the Jews will hide behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will cry out, O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill them. Hamas leaders have called for a worldwide jihad against the Jewish people, the killing of people simply because they are Jews. This is indeed a call for genocide against Jewish people. It is entirely unlike the war against terrorism, which Israel was drawn into when the invading Hamas terrorists from Gaza barbarically murdered 1,200 Israeli citizens, civilians, and other residents in Israel on October 7th. And I would like to refer to a statement that was made by an expert in the field of war, Colonel Richard Kemp, commander of the British forces in Afghanistan. After Hamas, he stated, after Hamas's savage massacre and kidnapping of Israeli citizens, the IDF took extraordinary measures as part of its defensive military action to give Gaza civilians advance notice of targeted areas, dropping millions of leaflets, broadcasting radio messages, sending texts, and making tens of thousands of phone calls. Never in the history of warfare has an army phoned its enemy and told them where they are going to drop their bombs. No army takes such risks in order to protect civilians as the Israeli army does. And I would also like to point out that the reason that we even find ourselves here in this room tonight discussing this topic for the umpteenth time is simply because Hamas invaded Israel's sovereign territory, kidnapped its civilians, brutally murdered, raped, beheaded, and did unmentionable atrocities, and at this point is still perpetuating a war that could stop literally tomorrow if they were to release the hostages, the innocent hostages that are now being held in captivity in Gaza. And I think that that's the primary thought that we should leave here with tonight. Release the hostages, end the war. One has to happen before the other. Thank you.
Gentleman with the red shirt, red sleeve on, trying to mix here of.
He's not part of our group.
Of the, not a matter of part of a group. There's one group here. It's called Residents of East Brunswick.
I'd gladly
Please,
sit
don't
down. You
interrupt.
could pick somebody else, and I'll take the next slot after them if you'd like.
That's sort of like not, okay. Gentleman with the black shirt on? Hang on.
I'm here to support what the
Okay.
president just said about us all being one people.
Good to know.
And you are?
Hello, my name is Zishan Qadri.
Where do you live,
I live
Ishan?
in 18 Goldsmith Drive in Spotswood.
You're in Spotswood.
So I used to be a resident of East Brunswick, and most of my family and friends are from here, and I have strong family ties in the community, including my in-laws who live here. East Brunswick has been a great space to be in until very recently, not because of the people inhabiting this, including the community members who are here today, but because of the people who are governing it. So I want to call to action to you, this council. I see this council's choice to stay silent in a matter of genocide committed by the inhabitants of the sister city of Yavne as appalling. In addition, I'm appalled by this council's decision to uphold the sacredness of this space here last time when a person got up in front and called Palestinian supporters as terrorists, members of Nazi supporters and ISIS members, and each one of you said nothing. So for you guys to allow someone to speak like that to any members of your own community, it was really appalling, and that is something you guys should be ashamed of. You guys should have spoken up and told that individual to stop. Do not display hate speech, same way we stop our community or anyone else from displaying any hate comments against anyone else. So it's members of as a council, you guys should have stepped up. And in fact, in that same meeting, you did, however, kick out a person who dropped the F-bomb. So how can we trust you to police hate speech when it's happening right in front of you and while you're in a position of power, so you do not deserve to be in this power? And recently, Mayor Cohen, you held a unity march. But how can we support your call for unity when we can't even be unified in a call for a ceasefire and a genocide that's killed tens of thousands of children? Your silence and decision to hold a neutral stance when refugee camps are burned and babies are charred to the bone is a badge of dishonor to the city that the city has to wear. You have whatever strange morals you have that you are holding up will not get you your next votes. So today our ask is very simple, and I would like an answer from this council on this. The council should ask for call for an immediate ceasefire and sever all ties with Yavne. Lastly, as part of Memorial Day, we should recognize the sacrifices of our armed forces, including heroes like Aaron Bushnell, who as an American soldier was stained by the guilt of the American military's complicity in this genocide. And in comment to one of the other gentlemen's comment, in regards to the use of the word genocide, these are not our words. We're not coming up with the word the genocide. It's happened, and it's in fact, these are the words of the International Court of Justice, which, by the way, is a similar tribunal that many, many years ago had decided upon crimes that were committed against the Jewish people by Nazis. So we would like to request this council to respond to us on a call for ceasefire and severing all ties with Yavne.
Thank you.
Is there a response?
Thank you.
Is there a response?
For the third time. You can take your seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Shame.
We don't need outbursts, okay? Save it for another location, not here. You are?
My name's Howard Goldberg. I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey, but recently left East Brunswick, being a resident for over 25 years.
Where are you in New Brunswick, Howard?
I'm on Birch Court.
Thank you. Floor is yours.
First, I want to apologize to the city council because this is definitely not a forum for what's happening right now here. You're here for city government, not federal government or international issues, but unfortunately, we've been put into this position, and so I find myself here to counteract the mission and represent the other side, since the anti-Israel side has insisted on turning this into a forum. So I apologize for the waste of time and money. That being said, at the beginning of this session, many stood up for these for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I noticed that there were many that did not. And I was very saddened by that, because the very rights that we state in that statement is what gives these folks the right to actually come here and convey their thoughts and their beliefs and their feelings and their opinions, which certainly do have a legal right to be expressed in this country. In other countries, particularly Arab states, you won't find that ability. You won't find the right for the women to get educated. You won't find equal rights amongst gay people or people who choose to have faiths that are different than what the state demands that you do. But there is one state, there is the state of Israel, that is a democratic state where people of all diverse backgrounds and cultures enjoy the freedom of expression and living their lives. Particularly Arabs who are Israeli citizens enjoy and would never want to give up. I've scanned social media, I've interviewed others, and I find that the majority of Arab Israelis are so thrilled and happy to lead a happy life in Israel. What I wished for since the beginning of October 7th was that there would be leaders of the Palestinian and the Arab community that would stand up and invite an open forum where there could be discussion and information shared person to person. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that happen, and so I come here today and say, let's move this forum here and let's put it somewhere that could be really productive, where we can sit with each other and talk about these things, where we can separate the propaganda and the false narratives and the hate from both sides that are spewing out inaccuracies and false information. And let's try to get down to some core ideals that we can all agree upon. And perhaps we can make some headway here. So in closing, I just would ask that everybody make an effort to try to find a much more productive way to make this happen, instead of doing it in this forum, which is really, we're preaching to our own choir here in this forum, and our words are falling upon closed ears. We all know we've all heard this information before, and it could be done in a much more productive way. Thank you.
People are supposed to be addressing the
Gentlemen with-
president, not the audience, as far as I know.
I'm sorry, you had your 5.
It's a matter of procedure.
Yes.
though. People are supposed to be addressing the president, or they're supposed to be addressing the bodies.
He was,
Because I find it threatening personally.
he had 5 minutes to talk.
Okay, I'm pretty sure
Okay.
the dais.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm Hassan Miraj, and I'm coming from Piscataway.
Piscataway. Where in Piscataway, sir?
621 Hose Lane West,
On Hose Lane.
Piscataway. Thank you. So I will thank you, all of you, for giving me an opportunity and other people here to talk about this very essential, very important issue that's going on. It's not about a town or city. It has become a global issue. And when it becomes a global issue, it's a humanity issue. It's not about Muslims, Jews, or Christians. We see the Jews are being killed. We see so many Muslims are being killed now, and the Christians as well. So what I'm talking about is why ceasefire is necessary now. It's simple. Whatever is happening, it is a war, and it is killing people from both sides. But obviously, the Palestinians are being killed like anything. I understand that 1,200 Israelis were killed, and that is not at all good. That is very painful. But there is no comparison, 1,200 to 35,000. There is no comparison. So each life matters, but then you have to see what is defined as defense and what is defined as killing. And as said, genocide is not anybody's words. It is the word recognized by all over the world. Now, I'm here also to give a little clue about the American values. We are all Americans. I'm not originally an American, but I have become an American. I'm not a Palestinian, but I am a human American. And what I have learned in America in my stay for the last 20, 25 years is the human values. So when we look at Gaza, what is happening? The civilians are killed. Yes, if you want to fight Hamas, but there's no justification to kill 35,000 innocent civilians, to decimate the whole generation, to make the orphans of the whole generation. There's no justification. Something has to be done, and it has to be done by all human beings around, regardless whether we are Christians, Jews, or Muslims. We are Abrahamic faith, we three of us. The other thing I want to talk, I'm a psychiatrist, and I treat PTSD and other mental illnesses. When I see what's happening now in Gaza, I don't know what is going to happen to those children who are going through this traumatic event every day, day and night. What has happened in Israel on 7th October is definitely very bad, very painful. But that unfortunately has happened. Now, we don't want to continue the same type of thing to happen on. They are all human beings. They're all human beings. So ceasefire at this point can stop the further suffering of the human beings. So this is very important. This is very important. That's why we are here. That's why I'm here from Piscataway, because this is a human issue. We are killing human beings. I understand. This is not a war, actually. This is, Israel is one of the biggest military, and there's nobody to defend those civilians. You're bombing civilians. What can they do? So this is not a war. This becomes a genocide. And we have to stop it for the sake of humanity, for the sake of human beings, regardless who is being killed and who is killing. So I condemned killing of everybody. I condemned loss of every life. But at this point today, what is happening is that the innocent children are being killed, and they have no home, they have no water, they have no shelter, they have no place. I mean, just imagine, we all have children. I have children. I can't sleep in the night when I see some videos. I again say, 7th October was very painful, but that unfortunately happened. But you can't continue to repeat those things today and tomorrow and onwards. If there's a war with Hamas, fight Hamas. But there is no justification to kill 36,000 and to continue. And then not to listen to the international community, not to listen to the international resolutions. So I think so. This makes a big case that we must here in every town support this human cause. It's not about international cause. It's about human cause. And that's why I would request the council to please a ceasefire resolution. We can do whatever we can do to stop this bloodshed from both sides. And I hope I can say so much. Everybody can say so much. But the only word is to save the human life now. Thank you so much.
Gentleman with the blue sweater on in second row. I do believe he had his hand up. He's chatting with his...
My name is Dr. David Rabinowitz. I live in East Brunswick for about 50 years. I live
Dave,
at 12,
what's your street address?
12 Constitution Court. I will be brief. A few days ago, in the op-ed section of the New York Times, Brett Stevens succinctly explained this whole situation. America has been in several wars that we did not win. Vietnam was one, and lately Afghanistan is another one. We fought those wars to protect another country, and at the end of the day, we had to leave. And in those wars, we killed thousands of people, and at the end of the day, we left. There was no danger to the American people, and therefore we were able to leave. Whenever the United States was involved in a war where our survival, where American citizens were in danger, America, my country, did everything we could to make sure our country survived. Pearl Harbor was an act of war against the U.S., and unfortunately, we had to kill several 100,000 people to make sure that our country survived. And all our leaders who fought that war were honored as heroes. October 7th was Israel's Pearl Harbor, where Israeli citizens were brutally slaughtered, murdered by Hamas. Like my country, the USA, Israel has to do what it has to do to make sure its country survives. What the USA did in World War II is not genocide, but a fight for survival. And what Israel is now doing is also not genocide, but a fight for survival. The Charter of Hamas clearly states that all Jews, not Israeli, but all Jews, must be killed. Israel will survive. Go to Israel, and if you have to go to a hospital, you probably will be treated by an Arab Israeli. Go to a cab, the cab driver probably will be an Arab Israeli. Arabs and Jews can live together if they choose. The answer is simple. Hamas, free the hostages and stop trying to kill my people. Thank you.
At a point where we're going to go with 2 more speakers, and then we're going to end this particular session. I'm going to say the person with the mask on.
Susan Gordon, 111 Willow Ave, North Plainfield. I am Jewish. I am anti-Zionist, and as a Jew of conscience, I stand 100% in solidarity with Palestine. I speak out both as a Jew and an American at what the State of Israel does in my name. Integrity demands that I speak out against the ethnic cleansing that Israel has committed against Palestinians for over 100 years. Ignoring injustice because we are not the victims makes us all potential victims of the next atrocity. Israel has destroyed everything in Gaza that can sustain life with the goal of making it uninhabitable by Palestinians whom they want gone, using every ethnic cleansing, every genocidal tool at their disposal. Israel has eliminated, destroyed, damaged everything. The health sector, infrastructure, schools and universities, mosques, churches, libraries, homes, water treatment plants, entire neighborhoods, refugee camps. The destruction was not collateral damage, it was specifically targeted damage. Israel also targets the West Bank where there is no Hamas presence, and the violence against Palestinians has been perpetrated for decades and decades before there was a Hamas, the same Hamas that Netanyahu funded for his own tactical reasons to destroy Palestine. Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela, who were well aware firsthand of what apartheid looks like, stated that the apartheid in occupied Palestine was more horrendous than that in South Africa. Israel, by the way, supported South Africa and offered them nuclear weapons. It still supplies arms to repressive regimes across the globe. Zionists, instead of looking inward at their own culpability, claim the world's reactions to every atrocity committed by Israel is anti-Semitism, though they have conveniently subverted the definition of anti-Semitism to focus on opposition to Israel's crimes. They focus on Israel, not actual Jews. They claim that every instance of people speaking out against Israel's state terrorism is because the world hates Jews. The world does not hate Jews. They hate the Zionists. They hate them despite the fact they are Jews. It is Zionist cruelty, violence, and decades of crimes against humanity that they hate, not Jews. And Israel shamefully uses Jews as human shields, as justification for stealing another people's land. The primary victims of Israel, of course, are the Palestinians, but Zionism also endangers Jews. Zionism is inherently anti-Semitic. What could be more anti-Semitic than conflating a fascist political ideology, Zionism, with an entire religion, Judaism? Mislabeling Israel a Jewish state when it is a Zionist state makes all Jews complicit for Israel's crimes, fomenting anti-Semitism. While Israel is doing this, they ignore actual anti-Semitism and they partner with actual anti-Semites, such as Christian fascists who are pro-Israel for their own agendas. Israel's crimes do not stop at genocide. Israel, through its lobbies, is directly responsible for the dramatic increase in fascism across the West. Censorship, criminalization of speech, employment and educational interference, electoral interference, doxing, state control of print and social media, death threats, increased state surveillance, ignoring international humanitarian law, and the proliferation of unconstitutional laws, all in service to a foreign genocidal state. Hundreds of international human rights organizations and scholars of genocide have said that what Israel is doing is a classic case of genocide, including Jewish Israeli genocide scholar Roz Siegel of Stockton University here in New Jersey. Calling for a permanent ceasefire is the minimum to be demanded.
Good evening. You are?
Good evening, thank you. I am Dorianne Dantowitz, 18 Van Hise Court, East Brunswick.
18?
18 Van Hise Court, East Brunswick. We've lived here about 17 years, raised our children here. And wow, I'm still sort of reeling from what I just heard, which is an absolute example of why this is the greatest country in the world. This level of free speech is amazing. I just heard from a Jew who is anti-Zionist. Okay, I'm a Jew. I am Zionist. Zionism means to me the right of a minority people, Jews, in the Middle East to self-determination. That's what Zionism means to me. I want to say that the suffering and death of Gazan civilians is heartbreaking. It is hideous what is going on now, the suffering and the death. Make no mistake, it began on October 7th with a brutal attack by Hamas, which is not over. It's not over because, if you'd like me to not show this, I will, but there are still civilians being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza, infants, children who are there, kidnapped with their mother. If Hamas or anyone wants peace with Israel, Israel wants peace with all of its neighbors, all of them. I have not heard one person on the other side say they want peace with Israel. I have heard them say, free Palestine. When I hear free Palestine, that says to me, destroy Israel. Free Palestine means destroy Israel. That is not a call for peace. That is a call for war. When I hear end the occupation, that I hear end Israel. Please help me with my time.
Oh, we're good.
End the occupation means destroy Israel. That's what I hear. What I'm not hearing is peace with Israel. I pray for peace multiple times a day for all innocent civilians. Peace with Israel, peace with all of Israel's neighbors. Peace for the civilians. The path to peace is peace with Israel. Israel has a right to exist. I stand with Israel's right to exist. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out this evening. We're going to take a 5-7-minute recess so that you can either go back out to your cars. We still have a lengthy meeting to take care of, but with regard to the microphone being open, I've concluded that, and we'll take a recess. Okay, we're back, everyone, and let's see. Moving into some budget resolutions, correct? So we have Resolution 24-162. Ms. Lawful, would you please read?
Okay. Resolution authorizing the adoption.
Mic's off.
Resolution authorizing the adoption of the amendment to the municipal budget of the Township of East Brunswick for calendar year 2024.
May I have a motion?
Move to adopt.
And a second?
Second.
We're going to open this up to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on Resolution 24-162? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Roll call, please.
I just have to read the resolution.
Oh, you're not. Oh, so it's on you?
Yeah, I'm just going to read the whole thing and then.
Just got to read it.
Okay.
Okay, Resolution 24-162, whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2024 was approved on the 25th day of March 2024. The budget amendment was approved on the 13th day of May 2024. And whereas the public hearing on said budget and the budget amendment has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend the said introduced budget. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the following amendments to the approved introduced budget of 2024 be made as follows. As it pertains to the current fund revenues, miscellaneous, Section A, local revenues, interest on investments and deposits, the following amendments are being made from $1,675,000 to $1,951,437.21. Total changes, an increase of $276,431.21. Hotel tax from $800,000 to $857,491.80. Total change, an increase of $57,491.80. Council on Affordable Housing reimbursement from $81,538.80 to $24,047. Total change, a decrease of $57,491.80. Utility operating surplus of prior year from $0 to $900,000, a total change of an increase of $900,000. Sewer utility fund balance from $900,000 to $0, a total change, a decrease of $900,000. The total general revenue in terms of amendments that were made were from $80,335,719.22 to $80,612,156.43. The total change is $276,437.21. Continuing with the current fund, general appropriations, sheet 17, unclassified national opioid settlement, from $0 to $32,185.61. Total change, an increase of $32,185.61. Sheet 18, D, deferred charges and statutory expenditures. Deferred charges, park and utility deficit, from $600,000 to $876,437.21. The total change is an increase of $276,437.21. Statutory expenditures, sheet 19, Public Employees Retirement System, from $1,511,155 to $1,662,014. Total change, an increase of $150,859. Police and Firemen's Retirement System, total change is from $4,056,951 to $4,126,988. The total change is an increase of $70,037. I will now proceed with appropriations excluded from the cap. Sheet 20, A, operations excluded from caps, police and firemen's retirement system exclusion from $70,037 to $0. Total change is a decrease of $70,037. Police employees retirement system exclusion from $150,859 to $0. A total change, a decrease of $150,859. Public and private programs offset by revenues, national opioid settlement, from $32,185.61 to $0. Total change, a decrease of $32,185.61. Summary of general appropriations, sheet 30, operations excluded from caps. Actually, you can just ignore that. The total general appropriations that were made or amendments is $80,335,719.22. Amendments were made from that to $80,612,156.43. The difference, or the total amendment, between both numbers is $276,437.21. We're going to proceed to parking utility revenues, amendments made to revenues for the parking utility. Dedicated revenues from parking utility operating surplus anticipated from $670,000 to $393,562.79, a total change of a decrease of $276,437.21. Special items of general anticipated with prior written consent of Director of Local Government Services, deficit general budget from $600,000 to $876,437.21. Total change, an increase of $276,437.21. Total parking revenue, the total changes are being made from $3,697,600 to $3,697,600. There are no changes. Proceed into sewer utility revenues. The following amendments are being made. Dedicated revenues from sewer utility operating surplus anticipated from $3,400,000 to $2,500,000. The total change is a decrease of $900,000. The total sewer utility appropriations, the changes are from $10,600,000 to $9,700,000. The total change is a decrease of $900,000. And lastly, sewer utility appropriations. Appropriations for sewer utility surplus in the general budget from $900,000 to $0. The total change is a decrease of $900,000. The total changes that are being made for the sewer utility appropriations is from $10,600,000 to $9,700,000. The total changes is a decrease of $900,000. That's it. That's all.
And for those in the audience who are still with us, if you're reading off of this document, better eyes than mine.
Thank goodness for a ruler.
Okay. So can we go,
You can do a vote.
we can go right to roll?
Yeah.
We'll go right to the roll call then, please.
I'm sorry, did we have a motion?
Did we-
Wendell and Zibicki, right? Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zibicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Resolution 24-163, the budget adoption. Is there some just a straight vote, not even, okay. So we don't need a motion.
A motion.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve and a second.
Second.
Please call the roll, Mr. Lawler.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zibicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. And I think finally,
Final. Yes.
we can give the mayor his,
Excuse me, for procedural, I'm checking with my CFO. Got to open the floor to the budget amendment.
We did.
We did?
did,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Didn't hear it, sorry.
It was quick. No one was
It's
here.
quick, okay.
No one was here.
Want to make sure, because.
All right, we wanna make sure we-
don't do that. I want to make sure all the I's.
on camera.
Right.
Resolution 24-164, the official budget adoption.
Motion approved.
Second.
Oh, the Hall?
And
Okay. Can I read?
you want to read?
Yes, please. Resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2024 municipal budget. Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the 2024 budget as set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $42,960,306.02 for municipal purposes and $3,141,882 for minimum library levy. A quick summary of revenues. General revenue surplus anticipated will be $4 million. Miscellaneous revenues anticipated, $28,954,968.41. Receipts from delinquent taxes, $1,555,000. Amount to be raised by taxation for municipal purposes. Item 6A and sheet 11, $42,960,306.02. Amount to be raised by taxation, minimum library levy, $3,141,882. Total revenues, $80,612,156.43. Summary of appropriations, general appropriations within caps. Operations including contingency, $47,409,627.45. Deferred charges and statutory expenditures, municipal, $8,842,439.21. Excluded from caps, operations, total operations excluded from caps, $6,919,209. Capital improvements, $900,000. Municipal debt service, $12,890,809. Reserve for uncollected taxes, include other reserves, if any, $3,650,071.77. Total appropriations is $80,612,156.43. That's all.
Okay. Do we need a motion?
Yes. Oh, we have a motion for a roll.
Just roll call, please.
Councilman Hall?
Yes.
And Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zibicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Now we're done?
Thank you.
That's the way I look at it. All those numbers flying around. Million here, million there. Can we move to consent agenda? Mayor?
I just wanted to thank you, council, for adopting this budget. I know it's a long process. It seems totally illogical that in any organization that you would adopt a budget halfway through the year. No business would ever do that. But but government has to work in a different set of accounting principles. The budget process is long and tedious. I know a lot of you had to sit and listen to numbers. I'm sure you realized that after a while they were just balancing out numbers, because when you make your budget, it has to go to the Department of Community Affairs to get approved. If they have corrections, adjustments that need to be made, those then have to be moved from one column to another. So you see that most of those numbers, which statutorily need to be read to all of you, every single blessed number, but that's the law. But they balance out, and at the end of the day, I think that we put together a budget that is sound, fiscally responsible, gets the services and the products and things that we need to have the town work the way it's supposed to and give the services that people enjoy here. And with it all, over the last 7 years in office, the municipal portion of your tax budget, I cannot make a comment on schools, I can't make a comment on county, fire districts, I can only talk about what we can do here, which is 20% of your tax bill, or the municipal portion of your tax bill. That increase on average over the last 7 years has been 0.5% per year. It averages out to about a little less than $1 per month for all the municipal services that we provide. I don't think it's possible to be that, more fiscally responsible than that, and yet provide the wealth of services that people have here in town. So it's a team. We do it together, and I thank you for helping us get to this point now.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
Consent agenda?
On
Mr. Wendell?
some discussion on the consent before I'm not looking to pull anything. I just want to talk about 24-165, 24-166, and 24-174. I know we've had problems with fireworks and the noises previously, and we've had demonstrations.
Right.
Has there been discussion with the fireworks, and are they going to be meeting our expectations?
They get 2 a month.
What?
They do get 2 a month.
Understood, but
Right.
we set an ordinance, we put an ordinance in place a year or so ago
Right.
for that, but I'm just curious, we have not been happy with the level of the noise, and I'm curious about these two. Has there been any discussion or any further discussions about the noise level?
After the last fireworks display, when there was some comment from the public, our previous township attorney, I know, had further discussions with the provider regarding keeping within the ordinance, explained to them they need to abide by that. And if these two don't work out, then we just don't give them any more.
Yeah, same with the cleanliness, too.
Yes.
And the same thing, Councilman Wendell, with regard to drones and lasers, that's the new wave.
I would love to see that
We just haven't seen
forward.
them
Yeah.
come back with some ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to
regarding-
Rutgers football games where they've had drone displays and
It's incredible.
all of that.
Yeah,
It's
the problem with drones, it is very cost prohibitive. It's incredibly expensive, and unless you get big corporate sponsors and stuff like that, it's next to impossible, because you're talking about hundreds or thousands of drones in order to achieve.
Understood, but, these two, June 21st and June 7th are both, private displays that are for a private event.
Right.
And it's not incumbent upon us to have to do this.
Understand.
I don't think the ability of it being cost prohibitive should be something that we should be concerned about. We should be concerned about our residents more than that.
Understand.
Understood.
I will ask Mr. Iacocca to discuss with Mr. Baker and circle back with Starfire and give us a brief report that was achieved.
What's the other number, Councilman Wendell?
24-174, it's just the St. Mary's and St. Stephen's
Yep.
Coptic Church. Where is the carnival being held, and are we?
Over in Pine Ridge at that church?
Okay, do we have a traffic plan and a parking plan or a busing plan? I know that residents came through here last year regarding that, because the traffic.
And I'm sure that was all rectified last year, because they had the festival after they came and chatted with us.
Okay. Okay, so
We're
we're
good.
confident that we
Right.
are not going to be impeding on the neighborhood
Right.
too greatly.
The overflow, right?
Yes. Okay, I'm fine with then. Those are the only questions that I had, and I appreciate your
Okay, good.
your comments.
Great.
If nobody else has any comments, I'll make
We'll get a motion
move to
for,
adopt the consent agenda from 24-165 to 24-180.
Second.
and second? Okay. Roll call?
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki? Yes. And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Resolution 2411? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mayor Cohn?
I know that we were able to do this as one motion, but I just also wanted to point out to the public that in those resolutions was close to $1 million in grants that the township received from various different agencies, the largest being a federal grant of $750,000, which is going to the new HVAC system at the library, which is our building, so that would have fallen on the responsibility of the township to do that. And that was through the infrastructure grant that the federal government provided during the Biden administration. We applied for that and it was approved. So I just think it's worth noting. Some of the other grants are smaller, but nonetheless, $1 million in grants is $1 million less to do things that would have otherwise come out of the property taxpayers here.
And we will have additional ones at the next meeting. We're waiting for the notice of awards to come in. That Chapter 159s will be on the next agenda. So all good news.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Criscuolo. Ordinance 2411.
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 209, Vehicles and Traffic of the Township Code to include violations for parking obstructions and encumbrances in streets.
Motion approved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. For the good of the cause. I know,
Resolution closed session.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry, go
We're
ahead.
good?
We have the resolution going to closed session.
Yeah, that's next. I'm going to do the good of the cause first. Yes.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to reiterate, thanks again to Angel and our mayor and everyone else involved in the budget for creating such a flat, common sense budget. It shows excellent stewardship to our taxpayers, and I'm very proud to sit on this dais and be able to vote yes confidently because my questions have been answered. Your open door policy with respect to my citizen type questions, because I don't know everything about the budget process nor the budget itself. You've been very open and explanatory, and I just really appreciate that. And it's good for the township when we all thoroughly understand what we're voting on and what we're doing with our their money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, we have a resolution 24-181. We're going to roll call in a minute. We need to go into closed session. And
Motion to adopt.
second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. And then following the executive session or the closed session, we'll come back just to end the meeting, so,
That's
Will
correct.
not be taken.
No action will be taken.
no action.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. Now we have to
Get a motion?
motion to go into closed session.
Yes. Second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Thanks, guys.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes.